Back for another Walk and Talk live stream. We have some much nicer weather today. It was like 29 or something yesterday, and it's over 50 today. Whole Foods has moved the line around the other side of their store, so there's still a line outside Whole Foods, and I just got a text from a friend of mine who's over at Trader Joe's a little further east. He's been waiting in line 20 minutes. So waiting in lines to buy things seems to be the new normal. I think in the interest of fairness and being thorough, I owe the Javits Center another look. We went there, I guess it was yesterday, and it didn't seem like a lot was going on, but there have been multiple news reports now indicating that the Army Corps of Engineers has in fact started work there. We saw the images of Governor Andrew Cuomo hanging out inside. It's a huge, huge space. He's hanging out inside there, and the Army seemed like a bunch of Army people there. So perhaps they are actually building this hospital. It's interesting, however, because we just haven't seen the indicators around town that hospitals are overflowing in the way that we've been told. I've been to several hospitals, and there was not a lot of activity around them. They all had an unusual number of ambulances parked in front of them. There are people who've written to me now who are EMTs and nurses and working at hospitals and stuff, and they agree that it's unusual for so many ambulances to just be sitting there. Other people have gone in their towns just driving by hospitals to look at what's going on, if there's a big crowd there at the ER or whatever. And so far everybody's told me that they seem to see what I'm seeing, that there's not a big crowd at the ER. There's not a ton of people clamoring to get into the hospital. I saw a video, somebody sent me, a guy in Hawaii went to one of these urgent care places, not a hospital, but just a little, doc shop, they call them, I guess, where you just walk in and make an appointment. And they were getting, I guess, state funds to test people for coronavirus, but this guy went there after seeing a news report that said there were huge lines, and there was no line at all. And the woman who owned the place got super mad, called the cops. Obviously, the cops wouldn't do anything. You're allowed to photograph and video record things in public spaces. Even if the people who are there in public don't like that or don't want you to, it's kind of too bad. So I'm heading back over to the Javits. I had intended to start this broadcast from there, but it's hard to get all this stuff programmed up and get out on time. I definitely want to walk by the FDNY parking lot again. Look at that. I don't even have to rush to make it through the light because there's no cars. It does seem like perhaps there's a few more people out. Here, this guy's selling fruit. So people buying fruit, they're not afraid of coronavirus? Anybody buying fruit? Yeah, a lot of people. What's that?
Twice more.
Twice as many people buying fruit now? So do you think people are starting
They buy a lot more because they're trying to
stock it up?
Yeah.
So you're doing okay out here? You're not afraid of getting sick from coronavirus?
I am.
But you're not wearing a mask and you're standing close to me and everything?
You came close to me.
You're right, but you didn't freak out.
Yeah. So you
And you're out here, people are buying stuff from you.
Yeah.
But so do you think that people are getting tired of sitting in their houses and their apartments and they're coming out to walk
No
around?
idea about it.
Did they tell you that non-essential people have to get off the street? But you're selling food, so maybe you're essential.
We are essential. We are listed essential.
There you go. Have a good day.
Okay.
Whoops. See, I think that guy in Penn Station broke my stabilizer. It's not really working properly. Yeah, there's a limited number of people. Most people have been telling me that they feel that what I'm doing is helpful and even important. And that's why I want to do it. I think we have a right to know what's going on. A lot of people with coronavirus in there? A lot of coronavirus patients? No, they're not really telling me. not really telling me what's going on, but that was, you know, one of those pop-up places, Mount Sinai Doctors, a commercial, come in here and get your doctor's appointment. I don't know, why isn't that thing jammed out with people waiting to get tested for coronavirus? If they were having one person an hour, so that's 24 new people a day. We've seen other things about how each person is going to infect 2 other people. Last week we were told to wait 4 days and it was going to be this catastrophic event. And I mean, again, we continue to not see that. So there's a police car. It's becoming a rare sight in New York City. But yeah, so I found out some things. I didn't know that much about the Javits Center. I mean, it's been there forever, or a super long time. I think I remember when it was being built, but it's like, it's not the kind of place that you go and hang out in if you live in New York City. Maybe if you come from out of town for a convention. I mean, I've been to like the car show there, and they have Comic-Con and stuff. And for a short while, they tried to do like NAB New York and have a thing there, but that didn't, you know, you got to go to Vegas for that, although that was canceled this year. But the point is, it's not really the kind of place that you go and hang out at. I don't know that much about it. I actually saw a really interesting article in the Hollywood Reporter, of all places. I like the Hollywood Reporter. They gave my 3D movie a good review. But they're talking about Hillary Clinton's penchant, or, you know, she likes the Javits Center. She had some kind of event scheduled there. They're talking about their Twitter account and how they're only following like less than 1,000 people. It's not a super popular place. There's about 5,000 people following the Javits Center, and they're following something on the order of 700 and, I can't really read it on the screen there, it's tiny, but only following 710 accounts, 2 of which are Hillary Clinton's, and of course none of which are President Donald Trump's. Now, hey, look, it's not against the law, it's not implicating them in any wrongdoing to just be, you know, following Hillary Clinton on Twitter. I don't know if people could see fruit shoppers there, but people are out, that's good. And so they're following Hillary, her official Hillary Clinton account, and her Hillary for New York account. This woman's out with her baby, with no mask on the baby, no cover on the thing. I think there's a lot of people who on some level detect that something else is going on than what we're being told. So it does seem from the news photographs like there are, in fact, members of the Army Corps of Engineers and lots of equipment there at the Javits Center. Several people told me that I should go to the loading dock and that they aren't going to load huge truckloads of equipment through the front door. Of course, I know that, and I had understood that the side of the building that I was looking at was the loading dock, but I may have been wrong. There is 2 other sides of the building that I haven't evaluated. I looked on Google Earth before coming over here, and it does seem that the side facing the West Side Highway may in fact be where trucks and things load the place. And I don't know if they're going to be there now. I guess they would have loaded it all up beforehand. I'm a little surprised that, you know, given that it's New York City and the amount of coverage things usually get, why didn't we have any news footage or even a photograph of Army trucks pulling up, being there overnight? I mean, how long does it take to load in all that stuff? Aren't there photographers running around New York City, freelance photographers who sell photographs of dead Ep on a gurney? How do you catch the 1 second they're dragging dead Ep into New York Presbyterian Hospital, the same hospital that had every ambulance parked in front of it and didn't seem to have any coronavirus victims, and had a police officer tell me he's not at liberty to discuss? There was a lot of really interesting word choices being used by the police, the firefighters, the ambulance drivers. He wasn't at liberty to discuss. But it seems that there's freelance photographers flying around who get ample notice of an unknown event like dead Ep getting choked out or hanging himself or not hanging himself or not getting choked out or whatever. They got a picture of Dead Ep going into Presbyterian, but nobody has a single picture of what had to be several 18-wheel trucks loading tons of equipment into the Javits Center. We just have these interior pictures of the Army walking around. I mean, it just feels very staged to me. Interesting to note that the High Line remains closed. That's not surprising. I mean, it's a park. Why would they open it? But here we see more of these NYPD ambulances. We've got, FDNY. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ambulances out on the street, not driving around. They are not tending to patients. I mean, can ambulances be used for triage? Or does anybody know if there's respirators in an ambulance? Why, if they have all these ambulances sitting around and all these people, we've heard in Italy, they're throwing people over 60 off of ventilators to help younger people. This guy's undoubtedly been instructed not to speak to me, but I want to ask him. Excuse me. Have there been an overwhelming number of calls for coronavirus?
Yeah.
There have? Because it seems like there's a lot of ambulances parked on the street. How many ambulances in total are usually kept?
These are stations where we turn on.
Right. How many ambulances are usually here?
This is about the norm.
They're not out driving around collecting coronavirus patients?
We usually have extra ambulances. So.
Uh-huh.
But I gotta log on and gotta get ready. So
How many coronavirus patients have you seen?
I can't really talk, man. I'm sorry.
5? How many coronavirus patients have you seen?
What?
Approximately how many coronavirus patients have you seen? How many? You don't know? 2? 100? 3. You've seen 3. How do you know they had coronavirus? Do you guys test in the ambulance? You don't know. You assume.
Yeah, assume. It's not concrete, we just assume. Because based off of symptoms.
Symptoms. And are there usually 7, 8, 9 ambulances just parked on the street over here, or are they usually driving around tending to emergencies?
No, these trucks, some of them are either waiting for a crew to get there, or some of them are broken.
Broken.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have people here fixing them if the city has a huge medical emergency?
We only have one set of people who do that
In Queens. The only people that can fix broken ambulances are in Queens. All right, well, thanks for your help. I appreciate that. Well, that was nice. So we got some more info there. I mean, again, so we have this pandemic. Apparently all these ambulances are broken, which is why they're here parked on the street. It's amazing to me that a city like New York would have more than, one or, a small number of ambulances that are broken and sitting around, particularly during a medical emergency like this. I would think they'd get those guys from Queens over here to fix it. I mean, I guess there's parts of an ambulance that probably any mechanic could fix, and parts of it that you'd have to be an ambulance expert to fix. But I don't know. I got no beef with the EMTs. Those guys are just doing what they're doing, but everything I'm seeing contradicts the notion that there's a huge medical emergency going on. They're just ambulances, Virgo says. Yeah, so what the hell is that supposed to mean? They're just ambulances, but if we heard yesterday or over the weekend that 1 person per hour was dying from coronavirus, that would seem to indicate that it's a huge problem spreading around the city and that people would be getting sick and calling ambulances. Here we saw a guy who said people with the symptoms of coughing and sore throats are immediately assumed to have coronavirus. So it's interesting. I want to know where those assumptions begin and where they end. Oh wow, that place used to be on 23rd Street. I didn't know where it went. Good to know it didn't go out of business. So we're going over to the West Side Highway here, and I'll approach the Javits Center from another side, and we'll see. I would think that there's still trucks loading equipment in. So, let's see. Thank you, Bio Tribe. Yeah, I think it's important for people to see this. Hey man, how you doing? So they tried to tell me that those ambulances over there are broken, and that's why they're there. But you said they're usually fewer there, right?
I don't even know.
Yeah. All right, well, I appreciate it. Thanks. How come you're not wearing a mask? Aren't you worried about coronavirus?
I think I'm going to do it next week.
Next week you'll wear a mask. All right. I guess the post office is not warning its employees or giving them any procedures. See, that's weird too. The post office is the government. Why aren't they, you know, if they're going to make their people work, why don't they give them masks? I mean, I get it if you're a senator or the president, but the post office guy is walking around outside, maybe interacting with people. Shouldn't he get a mask and gloves? He's touching everybody's mail. I don't get it. They're telling us stuff. So, all right, so there's one or two vocal, cranky people who are using fake names and fake Twitter accounts to tell me that I shouldn't be out here doing this. Again, along the lines of getting clear information, there was no emergency blast sent out to everybody's phone. They have a system for that. When there's a storm coming, the phone makes a crazy noise and you get an alert on the phone. Why didn't they send out an alert? They gave this vague announcement through the newspaper that non-essential employees are to stay home. But they didn't define non-essential. And when I looked at the list, police officers were not on there. So that either confirms my suspicion that de Blasio has sent the police home, or it indicates that that's an incomplete list. So anyway, there's a lot of people out. I don't know, is jogging considered essential activity? We see people jogging. We see people walking, hanging out with their dogs, hanging out with their kids. I feel bad for little kids. They don't have any idea what's going on. It is interesting that little kids love construction equipment, though. Tonka Toys figured that out a while ago. So we're getting closer to the, I should have loaded some more videos into here so we'd have more stuff to chat about on the walk. Let's see what the comments say. Want to see this, it is fascinating. Well, thank you, Sue. Yeah, I mean, even just seeing what's happening on the street is potentially interesting for people. So these guys are speaking some foreign language, either on the phone or vlogging or something. If people did not get a chance to see the Bishop Gators show that just completed a little while ago, it was stellar. I mean, the Bishop just does some amazing research, and he hits on points that just make so much sense. And if you've been watching his previous series about Kobe Bryant, he credibly ties Kobe Bryant to Wuhan. And he doesn't make stuff up to do it. He's showing pictures of Kobe in Wuhan, involved in lawsuits with pharmaceutical companies that are tied to interests in Wuhan. I mean, it was fascinating. People really should check it out. Storm Rider says, this is Q. No, this is Jason. Q is not a topic on this channel, really. But there's a lot of NYPD cars parked, which, as Charles pointed out, has some value, at least on a busy day when there's a lot of people around and a potential criminal doesn't know if there's cops in the vehicle or not. But at this point, I mean, it's almost a certainty that any police car on the street is empty. The other thing is, can dogs get SARS or coronavirus? If it goes from camels to humans, and that's MERS, and it goes from bats to bat soup to humans, that's coronavirus. I don't know. I haven't said anything about that. Shouldn't they be going over these things and talk about, they just say, oh, it lives on surfaces for 17 hours, so go out and buy up all the Lysol and the cleaning products and spray the crap out of everything, and then, you know, just freak out and stay in your house and worry about coronavirus. Doesn't seem that useful, doesn't seem that helpful, don't seem to have a plan for what to do about the vulnerable homeless population that may be starving and may be sick themselves and may be spreading the virus. Don't have anything to do about where the cops are. I called the dentist yesterday. I have a little bit of a thing with a tooth that came up a few weeks ago that I should have dealt with, and now it's starting to hurt. And it's interesting how these, you know, little things that we normally take for granted have now become, you know, potentially a big deal. If you have to wait, I mean, I shouldn't have waited at all. Good advice for tooth stuff, but I don't know. A lot of people out jogging. That seems not necessarily essential. And also, who is enforcing this? And what did they say? Was it advice, or is this a new law? I mean, if they come on the TV and say everyone is instructed, here's a new emergency law, you will be arrested if you go outside, obviously I won't do that. But when they issue these vague statements, I think it's important that we find out what's going on. We just got some good insights from that ambulance driver. Again, I see a lack of urgency in all of these guys, which I think he said they saw 3 alleged coronavirus victims. I mean, when you call 911 and ask for an ambulance, I'm pretty sure that's the ambulance that they send. Who knows how they figure it out? Maybe they know which is the closest or whatever. But how could that guy have seen only 3 coronavirus victims? And he also said that he didn't know if they were. He just assumed they were coronavirus victims. See, it's so weird. I walked over here the other day and my toes were freezing and wet, and now I'm sweating. It's hot today. I think we saw some of these buildings on the walk over, but this is Hudson Yards here. I mean, this is like a whole new, almost like a downtown unto itself in another city, but it's just like a little neighborhood over here. Oh yeah. I still got to get up into that thing. It's like made for Instagram device. The wedge. Oh yeah, buses are free. Did we discuss that? They said that the rear door of the buses will open so people can get on and off without, I guess, interacting with the driver or getting near the driver. Haven't really checked into the train schedule, but I guess the trains are, that looks like a lot of them there. I don't know that there's usually that many trains waiting there. Yeah, that's a bus that doesn't even have a driver in it. And another empty cop car. Getting close. There's the Javits Center right there. Ah, there's a train moving. Have you been responding to a lot of coronavirus calls? Sorry?
I'm assigned to traffic, so we don't...
Traffic, got it. Interesting. Oh yeah, it says transport. So a lot of traffic cops out, despite an amazing lack of traffic. I don't know why they need so many traffic cops. I don't know if people caught that guy back there, but he was eyeballing me in a very sinister way. I think I mentioned with Charles, usually people on the street in New York City tend to ignore individuals and just sort of generally ask for money, and if you don't engage with them and give it to them, they move on to the next person. But I'm telling you, I noticed these subtle changes in the sort of general temperament, and homeless people eyeballing me as I walk down the street, reminiscent of the way Buzz Buzzard eyeballs Woody Woodpecker as a roasted chicken when they're stuck on a desert island. I'm not joking. These people are becoming desperate. They started out desperate, and I haven't heard a plan Why don't they put the homeless people in the Javits Center and make it a homeless shelter and check them for COVID-19 and shower them and get them into a sanitary living condition off the street where they have food, where they aren't threatening each other or other members of the population. I mean, that would seem like a much more organized way to handle this. So here we are back at the Javits, and let's see what's going on. So obviously they're not going to bring equipment in the front, but I did presume there would be activity all around the building if such a massive effort was underway. I had presumed that the loading dock was down there, and people can go back and review the other two videos. I sort of peeked over this wall and said, you know, I don't see any trucks loading into that loading dock down there, but let's walk down there and see what we see. So there's no activity visible through the front, but to be fair, that giant space in the front is the lobby, and the conventions and things generally happen. There's like an escalator down, and there's this whole section in back that is not clear glass. That's where all the business happens. So it certainly stands to reason that whatever construction they're doing would be going on in there. A small thing like a toothache can make your life miserable. Exactly, Phil. And I don't want to wind up with a root canal, lose a tooth. That can lead to infections and problems and expensive, you know, something that might have been a couple $100 to drill and fill could turn into a big oral surgery that'll cost a lot of money. I mean, these are all the things that nobody's anticipating yet, how small little problems build up and create this sort of cascading effect, not just with toothaches, but basically everything. So, you know, I'm trying to be cautious about looking behind me, looking at the comments, not tripping. Bankrupting the people. I agree. I agree. We've got a lot of great guests coming up this week. Tonight at 8 o'clock on Patreon and Subscribestar, we're going to have another episode of More Pain with Mike Moore. People can also get that on patreon.com/truepundit. Mike Moore is the editor of True Pundit, and he's got always a very insightful take on everything. So the other thing is, I've had some contact from people who either are in the Army Corps of Engineers or familiar with the operation of the Corps of Engineers, and they said that this is not an exceptionally slow speed for something like this to happen. So that's the reason why I came back here today, because if there is legitimate work going on, I want to, you know, acknowledge that. I'm not trying to craft a narrative, I'm just trying to observe what's going on. Have you seen all the Army guys inside building the hospital? Excuse me. Excuse me. Sir, have you seen all the Army guys inside building the hospital?
Excuse me?
Have you seen all the Army guys inside building the hospital?
Yeah, I've seen them when I first went in.
Are they working hard in there?
Outside, so
What's that?
I put me outside, so it's much
They
better
put
to see.
you outside?
Yeah, that's my assignment.
Ah.
Grounds. I got grounds.
Is that usually your assignment, or they just did that today?
It varies day to day. Do different things.
Is it unusual for you to be cleaning outside rather than inside?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
And do you think they're doing a ton of work in there? Are you impressed by how much equipment they brought in and what they're going to be building? Do you think they're doing a ton of work in there? Were you impressed to
Yeah.
see the equipment and everything?
Yeah, I think they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Aren't you worried about coronavirus? You got the mask on your head.
Oh yeah, I'm worried about it, but I mean, hey.
Some people have said that black people are impervious to coronavirus because it's a genetically engineered virus. Do you think that's correct?
I haven't really heard anything.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Me either. I haven't heard anything like that. It doesn't matter who it affects, it's just going to affect.
Well, at least you still have your job, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Stay safe, man.
I thank you.
Thanks for talking to me. I can't go in there, can I?
Huh?
Am I allowed to go in?
I'm not sure. You does have to be right there. That's the front entrance.
Can I- Not going to let me in that way?
No, that's the main entrance.
All right, I'll try the front entrance. Thanks. Okay, that's interesting. So that guy has seen the Army guys inside there. I believe they are inside. I believe they are. I don't think they would have put up fake photographs. I mean, would they do that? Let's see. How we doing with comments here? I hope the signal remains strong. You know, people were complaining about buffering. I mean, this is the issue if you go on these mobile walks. Yeah, see, I don't know where the loading dock is here because I thought that was it. It had a big sign that said exit only, but I guess, oh yeah, there's South Freight check-in. So this must be the loading dock over here. Now, I can't recall if that tent is always there. I think it probably is. This could be a loading dock right here. Oops. Maybe those doors open. It looks like they open. Yeah, no, this isn't a loading dock. This is a door for freight to check in. Freight check-in. It's hard to see inside there. It's just a wall. Well, there we see some trucks. I think these must be loading docks or something. They look like they could open. That must be it. So I presume they would have loaded all the stuff in through here, and they're inside there now, building 2,000 additional beds rather than fixing the existing ambulances, which seem like that would be way faster to do. See, the other question that comes to mind is, you know, they decided right away to build this 2,000 bed ICU hospital here, and of course if they build it and don't need it, they'll say, oh, thank goodness, we were so good at handling coronavirus that we didn't even need that hospital. But meanwhile, who's getting the contracts for all that stuff? You know, they like to rush to the decision about, you know, 2 trillion or whatever the number is, but they don't seem to be rushing to figure out what to do with homeless people, what to do with people who are going to become homeless people, what to do about the cops, what to do about so many things. The other thing that I was told by this individual who's familiar with the processes of the Corps of Engineers is that they'll plan it and everything, but then they hire civilian contractors to build it, which also makes sense. And, you know, these could be trucks filled with stuff that the Army dudes will use. How you doing? Did you see a lot of Army guys coming in here the other day?
I haven't seen it. I knew they were here. I know they're here, but I haven't seen any around.
You just photographing as a hobby, or you work for the news or something?
I work for myself, but yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Good luck.
I think they're delivering something to the Javits Center, to the hospital.
Got it. All right, so that guy's a photographer, and yeah, it seems like they are delivering things for this Javits Center hospital. So, you know, whoever owns this trucking company got a contract. Whoever owns the hospital equipment got a contract. Hillary Clinton is one, or I should say 2, of only 700 Twitter accounts followed by you guys delivering stuff for the hospital? For the Army? Picking up? What are you picking up?
Coming from supposed to be the city. We got something from.
But is this stuff to do with the Army Corps of Engineers building a hospital, or just regular Javits Center business?
No.
Nothing to do with the hospital?
I think it's donations, something like this.
Donations. Got it. So you guys are picking up donations that people around the city make, and you're distributing them elsewhere.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay, so nothing to do with the hospital. It's interesting what gets assumed, and that's why it's good to ask these kind of questions. Are people aware that this is the ventilation system for the Lincoln Tunnel? I don't know if that's interesting or not, but that thing is pumping air into the tunnel. So there you go. Well, I don't know. Let's see what comments are saying here. Live update. 4 dead in Shanghai. John Hoover is all over that. John E. Hoover, of course, is the YouTube channel of John Cullen. People should watch John Cullen's Las Vegas investigation on Fridays. We've actually now sort of shifted it to John Cullen's coronavirus investigation, and John's been doing excellent work. John, if you haven't yet seen the Bishop's show this afternoon, I think you should go check that out. It was super interesting and touched on a lot of things that are gonna, I think, help your investigation. The Intrepid, if people can see it, is docked right up there. That's the decommissioned aircraft carrier that's now an air and space museum. So we're over here by the piers on the west side. There is no loading dock. And it's strange to me that nobody captured images of what had to be a large number of trucks bringing that stuff in. I agree, it seems to be in there. I don't know. Sidewalk closed. Let's see if I can cross the street without getting killed. So this is the construction project that was already underway at the Javits Center. And I forget who it was, but a regular viewer was talking about the elevator renovation project at the World Trade Center and when that began in terms of when 9/11 occurred. There's a bus driver wearing a mask on a totally empty bus. Let's ask him if access, oh, you gotta go to, everybody's gotta go to the rear. So everybody has to go to the rear to get on the bus. Normally it says no entry, everybody is authorized. There's nobody on the bus. Okay, so we're, 10 days into this. As far as managing city resources, why don't they maybe evaluate that every single bus that I've seen has been totally empty and maybe let the bus drivers go home, maybe stop running them, maybe shift some of those resources to fixing ambulances? How are we in one of the largest and most sophisticated cities in the world that has broken ambulances sitting around while empty buses are driving? Does that make sense to anybody? Because it doesn't make sense to me. 6,917 died from the flu, QV tells us. Exactly. Nancy says it's underground. Yeah, I have no doubt it's underground. I'm contemplating going in there, but seems like a good way to, I don't think there'll be any bums that will beat me up, but I wonder if Army guys are more or less difficult to deal with than bums. What do people think? Should I go in there? I'm working on a plan for something that I think people will find extremely interesting, so I want to be careful how I use my time. Oh wow, and the battery is again very low on here. I have a new system where this phone is being charged by an external charger, but I guess this secondary phone is past its prime. Now what's this? This is open. That's a bus station, I guess. Security by MTA. Right, so I mean, you're telling me these guys don't have people working for them that know how to fix vehicles? I mean, is there no one who can say, what's wrong with these broken ambulances? Let's get somebody who's normally working for the bus repair department to get into the ambulance repair department and get them driving? I think the answer is clear. They don't need those ambulances. And it begs the question, do we need an additional 2,000 hospital beds if the ambulances aren't filled with coronavirus patients, and the hospitals aren't filled with coronavirus patients either? I don't know if they are or aren't, but what I've been seeing doesn't seem to match what we've been hearing on the news. People say go in. So all right, yeah, let's try it. I will be polite, but they'll undoubtedly say, turn that damn thing off and get the hell out of here. We'll see. It was also weird that other construction people weren't aware of or informed about this on Saturday. Let's see what this guy says. He looks very much like somebody the Army would contract if they were building something here. Hey, have you guys been, sorry to bother you, have you guys been hired by the Army Corps of Engineers to build this hospital?
No, we're not part of that.
Is it separate private contractors?
I don't know who's doing it. That's with the Javits Center. So
Oh, you guys aren't working on
you're
the...
not taking my picture now, are you?
I was, yeah.
You can't use that.
Sorry, I can. You're in public. I can use it. You're in public. All right. Well, so we'll walk away from that guy. I mean, people should understand if somebody walks up to you with a camera pointed at you, you're being photographed. I'll walk away if the guy doesn't want me to talk to him, but he can't tell me I can't use it. I mean, he can tell me, but it's not going to get anywhere. So see, we got news trucks out here now. Where were these news trucks? There were some news guys here when I came on Saturday. I mean, are they not? They have to know where the loading dock is and where everything is happening. Yeah, I don't think you can just walk in the front of the Javits Center when there's not an event going on. It's like kind of closed, but we'll check it out. Why are all these guys here? They must be expecting another, I guess that's just for a correspondent to pop up. I mean, how is there no activity? It's just a couple news people. No construction workers know anything about it. I mean, the other thing that's funny is that the simple act of walking out on the street in New York, you're getting photographed by a million people. Hey, did you guys see any trucks loading stuff in here at any time?
No, not since we've been here. And if that would have happened, it'd probably be around the other side.
Nobody from Eyewitness News was photographing that? No,
Photographing which aspect?
the trucks loading in, tons of Army trucks showing up with stuff? None
Again,
of
that would probably take place around the other side.
Right, but days ago, nobody did it?
No. But if you know the convention center, there's huge garages where this stuff goes into, and then they unload. We've got shots of the inside of what they have there, but as far as the unloading goes, that was probably done.
Thanks. All right, there's a big explanation of something he didn't seem to have too much information about, but yeah, I saw the shots inside. That all looked very carefully controlled, is the reason why I'm wondering why there are no shots. See, that's what they want, is careful control of what gets shown and what gets photographed. They are hiding something, is my belief. What that is, we don't know. But all these guys who are out here waiting for nothing, I guess weren't around when those Army trucks were loading in. I mean, if anything, it seems like it would be an impressive image to see. Hey, are you guys aware of anybody? Are you guys aware of anybody having any footage of the Army trucks loading stuff in?
I'm not aware.
Isn't that strange? Don't you think somebody would have that?
Did it start to happen yet? I don't know if it really.
I saw some of it on social media.
Oh, from where?
I wasn't able to like verify.
You're a Marine. So what do you think? Is the Army doing a quick and good job?
You don't know if you saw them loading it up.
I didn't.
Hopefully they will be.
verify.
Hopefully they will be.
Have you seen them loading anything in?
Not
What do
yet.
you got on the phone there?
No. This is because I'm going to be using my drone and the gangster on the footage, but I have total control of that thing.
Oh, that's from the drone?
Yep.
Huh. Cool.
But
On the 11th, on the 12th,
Don't you think there'd be somebody, all the people running around with cameras who would have trucks pulling up to the Javits Center with Army stuff? It should be a lot of trucks, right?
what they'll do most likely is wait until nightfall.
Why?
But I mean, it looks like New York
They don't
City,
want
and
everybody
they
to
even have
see.
that street sign.
What's going in there?
Yeah.
Why?
I can't
It's not a military operation, it's a civilian operation.
I'm thinking like
Read the Stafford Act.
I mean,
The Stafford Act.
could be part of it. I don't
Thank
know.
you. Semper Fi.
I really don't know.
See that? Get a lot of good information. That guy kind of just gave away my good idea. I'm trying to get my hands on a drone because if it does become too dangerous to be outside, now see, I see barricades here, which mean that people have probably already been told not to go in there, and it's almost a certainty that attempting to do so will not be appreciated. Yeah, but the idea is to try to get a drone and see if I can see anything. This is going to be locked. Yeah, there's no way I'm getting in here. It's closed today, so, and obviously those barricades are set up because they don't want people going inside. People can look up that act. I already forgot what he said, but luckily it's being recorded. Stafford Act. People will look that up. See, I think there's a lot of people out there who are wondering if they're setting up something other than a hospital. And that might be a reason why they don't want nosy people like me nosing around with a camera. And that might be why they get social engineers with fake names and Twitter accounts that are less than a month old to tell me that I'm risking people's safety by walking around out here and tell me that I should go home. Hey, have you been scoping out the Javits for a few days? Did you see any of the Army trucks loading stuff in? You didn't. Has anybody? I don't think so either. It's weird, right? So there we go. So that guy spoke with an accent, sounded like maybe Japanese. There's news media from all over the world here, and not a single person has seen that Army stuff loading in there. I give them the benefit of the doubt that it's there, but why all this secrecy? All right, I think I'm running out of stuff to cover over here. Who is they? They in this case is the Army. Yes, Storm Rider says it's FEMA, and the person who emailed me earlier and said that they were familiar with the operations of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said that they are employed by FEMA when necessary. Ah, here's a bunch of police. That guy looks like he's wearing riot gear. Why is there such a heavy concentration of police here? Can people see that? Oh, it's happening, guys. Did you guys see the Army loading stuff into the Javits Center at all? Did you guys see any of the Army trucks loading into the Javits Center? No. Why we have such a heavy concentration here? There's no cops around anywhere. What? Sorry?
Stand in the middle of the street. Let's get out of the street.
Oh.
He said,
walk around, yeah.
okay, so I'm trying to get out of the street. There's more police right here, right now, than there are in the whole rest of New York City. Can anybody address that, or should I leave? Can anybody speak to me about it? I have a serious question. I was in Penn Station 2 days ago. 30 seconds in there, I get attacked by a homeless person. There's not a cop around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cops right here. What are you guys doing? Didn't call 911. The guy was about to kill me. But the point is, there's no cops in the train station, and there's like 8 or 9 cops right here. Why are there so few police around? Have the police been told to stand down?
We still have to work.
Sorry?
The city has to go on, so we still have to work. So
No, I'm saying, why are there so few police around, but so many police here? Is there someone who can talk to me among you guys?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. I'm just asking why. It seems that the police have been stood down. I was in Penn State.
I just want to let you know you're being videotaped as well, all right, sir?
Sorry?
Just want to let you know you're being videotaped as well, sir.
That's fine.
No, just
You're
let you
being
know.
videotaped. I'm
Just
being
let you know.
videotaped.
So now we're on the same page.
When I was in Penn Station 2 days ago, I was
Okay.
there for 37 seconds before I was physically attacked by someone who appeared to be homeless.
Okay?
And luckily he didn't really do anything, but I found it remarkable that there were so few police in Penn Station, and then now we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cops right here.
So wait, just let me confirm that. So in Penn Station 2 days ago, you were almost attacked or you were attacked?
I was attacked. I was
All right,
physically
did you call
attacked. I
911?
have it on video.
Did you
No.
call nine-
Because
All
the
right,
last
call
time I
911,
was
please
attacked
come
and called
from
911, they
60,
refused to do anything. And when someone came to my house who has been stalking me for 2 years, they also refused to do anything. So my question is, have the police been officially stood down in New York City?
That's a false and inaccurate statement, sir.
I'm
We're out
asking
here,
a question.
protecting-
How
we're
can it be a
protecting you
false and
the rest of New York
inaccurate
City
statement?
from
I asked
counterterrorism and
you.
other issues as of now.
Hang on. I didn't make a statement. I asked a question, Sergeant Manley. I said, have the police been stood down?
And I told you no, sir.
I didn't hear you say no. I heard you tell
No,
me that
sir.
was a false statement.
No, sir.
Okay. Why are there less than 8 police in Penn Station where there are people and 8 police officers with heavy artillery standing right here where there's nobody?
This is called a deterrent, sir. We're here, we're protecting you and the rest of the citizens of New York from counterterrorism and other issues, sir.
Counterterrorism.
That's what this is called, a deterrent. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for that.
Have a good day, sir.
You too, Sergeant Manley. I don't know, how did people feel about that encounter? That's a hell of a lot of cops for a counterterrorism deterrent. Are they expecting terrorism? That was interesting. Cops love to be super aggressive. Do I look threatening? I don't mind being videotaped. I'm not doing anything that is wrong. Well, hey, that was just a rare moment, everybody. That was a cop with the body camera on. This will be hilarious if these 2 guys beat me up now. We'll see if the cops do anything. What's happening, fellas? You guys working at the Javits Center?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
You sure? Okay. First guy says yes, the second guy says no. A lot of weird stuff going over here at the Javits Center. That was weird. Ah, that was an NYU ambulance with the lights on. That's the first ambulance I've seen in days with the lights and siren on. People who haven't seen all the walk-arounds have perhaps missed. See, that's weird. Now the battery's going up on here. I don't understand how that works. But people might have missed. We've seen ambulances stopped at lights. Why would they do that? It's also great how the cops, they try to boss you around, and one of them tells you to do one thing and you start to do it, and the other one tells you, no, don't do that, go over here, do this, do that. You're standing in the street. What, are they going to give me a jaywalking ticket? There's no cars. That's a counterterrorism thing. I don't know, somebody who knows stuff about police procedure will look at that and know what's going on, but I don't know. I think, yeah, it's BS. Exactly, Grateful Girl. This is insane. So the purpose of me doing this, I'm not trying to threaten anybody's health. And frankly, all the people that I've encountered out here don't seem particularly worried about coronavirus. They're walking around without masks. They're walking around without gloves. They're taking their kids and their dogs for a stroll. Don't get me wrong. I think that people should do that. I'm a proponent of this idea that people with healthy immune systems should be conducting their lives normally so that the economy can keep going. And that is what I'm trying to do. I hope if people are enjoying these broadcasts, they'll sponsor the show. Get onto subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. There is a huge library of sponsor-exclusive content on there. And we've put together really some great shows. If you're only watching the free shows on YouTube and Periscope and Facebook and all those, you're really missing a lot of the information. And also keep in mind that I can't keep this going without your sponsorship. You know, if I was working for ABC News or something, I'd be standing on the corner there like a dope, not photographing army trucks going in there. But I guess they're not doing that. All right, so I'm getting a little bit worn out here, and also getting close to the building I need to go into to see if I'm going to be able to arrange anything with this drone. But no promises on that. We'll see if it can be gotten and if it works with this whole system and everything. But really appreciate all the kind comments from people. And I mean, the purpose of doing this is to let everybody know what's actually going on, not to fearmonger, to show people how people are out, conducting their lives. A lot of photographers out. That guy had 2 cameras with him. So if somebody has seen on social media pictures of army trucks pulling up to the Javits Center, loading stuff in there, please send it to me. People can always email me on truth@crowdsourcethetruth.org. And if you have photos that somebody's taken at the Javits Center, I'd love to see them. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Got the Empire State Building there. Can people see that? That's nice. I love the Empire State Building. I really wanted to go up to the top of it before they closed it. That would be a rare experience, to be alone at the top of the Empire State Building. But there we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.